That block of cheese sitting in your refrigerator right now. The one you barely think about. The one you slice onto your lunch sandwich or melt into your morning omelet without a second glance. What if I told you that unassuming ingredient might be quietly working against you? Not in some dramatic, obvious way. Not with sudden pain or alarming symptoms you'd recognize immediately. But slowly, silently, day after day, bite after bite. You're not just eating cheese. You might be eating your way toward memory loss, heart disease, and bones that crumble from the inside out. And the scariest part? You'd never connect it. You'd blame aging. You'd blame stress. You'd blame bad luck. But the truth is far more unsettling. The truth is sitting right there in your dairy drawer. This isn't fear-mongering. This isn't some exaggerated wellness fable designed to scare you into buying expensive supplements or trendy superfoods. This is peer-reviewed science from 2022 out of a major American research institution that tracked thousands of older adults over years. And what they found should make anyone over 60 stop mid-bite. Regularly eating certain types of hyperprocessed cheese was linked to a nearly 69% increase in dementia risk. Stroke risk? Almost 95% higher. Premature death from all causes? 71%. Those aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. Those are your weekends with your grandchildren. Those are the years you plan to travel. Those are the memories you haven't even made yet. And they're being stolen by something marketed as harmless. Here's the part that stings. The cheeses causing this damage were disguises. They sit on store shelves wrapped in bright packaging stamped with words like reduced fat, light, heart healthy, easy to digest. You believe those labels because you want to believe them, because you're trying to make good choices, because you've spent a lifetime being told that low fat equals better. But inside that wrapper is something that barely qualifies as food. Excessive sodium, chemical stabilizers, emulsifiers that shred the delicate lining of your gut, artificial colors that exist only to trick your eyes. These ingredients don't just sit in your stomach. They ignite inflammation. They spike your blood pressure. They stiffen your arteries until your brain struggles to receive the steady, oxygen-rich flow it desperately needs. And your memory? It doesn't vanish overnight. It leaks. Slowly. A forgotten name here. A misplaced key there. A word stuck on the tip of your tongue that won't come out. You blame age. But what if age is just the alibi, and your daily sandwich is the real culprit? But here's where the story pivots. Not all cheese is the enemy. Some cheese is medicine disguised as indulgence. Some cheese was never meant to be processed, packaged, and preserved for months on a shelf. Some cheese comes from animals raised on pasture, milked with care, aged with patience, and cultured with living organisms that your body recognizes as allies. These cheeses carry probiotics that don't just survive digestion. They thrive in your gut. They feed the beneficial bacteria that regulate your mood, your immunity, and surprisingly, your cognition. Because the gut-brain axis isn't just a buzzword. It's a two-way superhighway. And when you flood your gut with the right microbes, your brain sends back thank you notes in the form of sharper recall, faster processing, and better emotional stability. The right cheese, eaten in the right amounts, doesn't just taste good. It rebuilds. Today, we're doing something practical. We're walking through two very different cheese lineups. For that deserve a permanent spot in your refrigerator if you're over 60. And four that need to be evicted today. No mercy, no nostalgia, just biology. We're counting them down from good to life-changing, and from bad to actively dangerous. By the end, you'll know exactly what to buy, what to avoid, and why that expensive, stinky cheese you've always walked past might actually be the smartest investment in your long-term health. Let's start with the fourth most powerful cheese you can eat after 60. Roquefort. Now, I know what you're thinking. That blue cheese with the mold? That sharp, almost aggressive flavor? Yes, that one. But here's what you probably don't know. Roquefort isn't just cheese. It's a fermented therapeutic food that spent centuries perfecting itself in the limestone caves of southern France before anyone understood why it worked. Today, we have the science to explain what our ancestors only felt. Roquefort carries a specific strain of Penicillium roqueforti that doesn't just create those striking blue-green veins. It produces bioactive peptides with measurable anti-inflammatory effects. A 2019 study published in Frontiers in Nutrition followed older adults who ate Roquefort regularly and found their inflammatory markers were nearly 27% lower than those who didn't. Let me translate that. Chronic inflammation is the slow fire burning beneath almost every age-related disease. Arthritis, cognitive decline, arterial stiffness, cancer. Roquefort doesn't just taste bold. It actively smothers that fire. And then there's vitamin K2. If you've never heard of it, write this down. K2 directs calcium where it belongs, into your bones, and away from where it destroys, your arteries. 60% of older adults don't get enough K2. Roquefort delivers it generously. Pair it with a pinch of sea salt and a few walnuts over peppery arugula. Never cook it. Heat kills the very organisms you're eating it for. 3 times a week, 1 ounce. That's your prescription. Number 3. Parmigiano Reggiano. Not the green can. Not the shredded stuff in bags. The real wheel. Aged a minimum of 24 months, often 36. This cheese is bone armor. Here's something they don't tell you. As you age, your stomach produces less acid. That makes breaking down protein much harder. Your body works overtime just to extract basic nutrition from the food you eat. But Parmigiano Reggiano does something almost unfair. During its long aging process, enzymes break the proteins down into short-chain peptides and free amino acids. It arrives at your plate partially predigested. Your body doesn't have to fight for it. It just absorbs it. Researchers at the University of Parma followed over 200 older adults for 3 years. Those who ate Parmigiano Reggiano weekly had 18% higher bone density than those who didn't. No supplements, no expensive powders, just cheese. And because it's aged so long, lactose levels drop to virtually 0. Even people who spent their whole lives avoiding dairy can usually tolerate this. But here's the 2021 discovery that blew the researchers away. The aging process creates specific peptides that actually inhibit the growth of E. coli and listeria. This cheese doesn't just feed you, it protects you. Grate it over minestrone. Shave it over roasted vegetables. Eat a thin slice with a drizzle of balsamic. Your bones will thank you. Number 2. Cottage cheese. I know, it doesn't look impressive. It doesn't have the prestige of aged Italian wheels or the funky complexity of French blues. But for older adults, it might be the most underrated protein source in existence. Cottage cheese is fresh, not aged. That means the live probiotics in it are still active, still alive, still ready to repopulate your gut. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition tracked adults over 65 who ate low-fat cottage cheese regularly. Their digestive transit time improved by 12%. Bloating and indigestion dropped by 17%. But here's the real magic. Cottage cheese is rich in casein protein. Casein clots in your stomach and digests slowly, releasing amino acids steadily over hours. That's critical for preventing sarcopenia, the gradual, stealthy loss of muscle mass that makes stairs harder, grocery bags heavier, and falls more likely. A 2020 British study found that older adults who ate cottage cheese before bed had 25% less muscle breakdown overnight. 25%. While they slept. While they did nothing. That's the power of real food. Buy plain, full-fat, organic with live cultures listed on the label. Never the fruit-flavored versions. Those are sugar bombs dressed in disguise. Mix it with ground flaxseed and fresh berries. Spread it on celery with cracked black pepper. Your muscles need this. Now, number 1. The cheese most people overlook, most people underestimate, and most people definitely do not crave. Goat cheese. Specifically, fresh, unaged, soft goat cheese. This is brain fuel. The protein structure of goat milk is fundamentally different from cow milk. It contains A2 beta-casein, not A1. A2 casein is dramatically easier to digest and far less likely to trigger the low-grade systemic inflammation that plagues so many older adults. A sweeping 2021 meta-analysis in Nutrients examined over 1,200 seniors and found that those who regularly consumed A2-based dairy scored significantly higher on memory recall tests and reported 32% fewer subjective cognitive complaints. That's not coincidence. That's biochemistry. And then there are the fats. Goat cheese is unusually high in medium-chain triglycerides, specifically caprylic and capric acid. These fats bypass normal digestion entirely. They travel straight to your liver, convert rapidly into ketones, and those ketones cross the blood-brain barrier to become premium fuel for aging neurons. A 2022 trial at UCLA gave older adults MCT-rich foods for just 6 weeks. Their mental processing speed increased by 17%. 17% in 6 weeks. Goat cheese isn't just food. It's cognitive maintenance. Spread it on whole grain toast with a thread of olive oil. Crumble it over roasted beets and toasted pecans. Eat it with sliced fig or a date. Don't bake it. Heat degrades those delicate fats and enzymes. Twice a week, 2 ounces. Your brain knows the difference. So that's the good list. The protectors, the rebuilders. But there's another list. And this one is painful to write because these cheeses are everywhere. They're in your grocery store. They're on restaurant menus. They're probably in your fridge right now. And they are actively undermining your health. Let's start with the 4th most dangerous. Cream cheese. Smooth, spreadable, innocent looking. But cream cheese is not a fermented food. It contains no live cultures, no probiotics, no beneficial enzymes. It's essentially fresh dairy thickened with stabilizers like carrageenan or locust bean gum. For younger digestive systems, that's manageable. For aging guts with thinner mucosal barriers and slower motility, those stabilizers can be inflammatory. A 2020 study in the Journal of Gerontology found that older adults who regularly ate non-fermented dairy spreads had 19% higher intestinal inflammation markers and nearly double the levels of zonulin, a protein that indicates leaky gut. Leaky gut isn't just a digestive issue. It's a systemic issue. Partially digested food particles escape through gaps in your intestinal lining. Your immune system flags them as invaders, and chronic inflammation spreads through your body like slow poison. Cream cheese offers almost no protein. It delivers saturated fat without any of the compensatory benefits of live cultures or bioactive peptides. And most people spread it on white bagels or refined wheat bread, a double hit of blood sugar spike followed by inflammatory fat. The smarter move? Swap cream cheese for probiotic-rich soft goat cheese or thick, strained Greek yogurt. You'll get protein. You'll get cultures, and you won't spend the afternoon bloated and sluggish. Next, low-fat processed cheese slices. Individually wrapped. Melts perfectly. Markets itself as the virtuous choice. It is not cheese. It is a cheese-like edible oil emulsion. The ingredients list reads like a chemistry inventory. Milk solids, vegetable oil, sodium phosphate, citric acid, artificial color, preservatives. This isn't food science for your benefit. It's food science for shelf stability and manufacturing cost. A massive 2022 review in the Journal of Nutrition and Healthy Aging found that older adults who regularly consumed low-fat processed cheese had a 23% higher risk of metabolic syndrome, higher blood pressure, higher triglycerides, greater insulin resistance, more abdominal fat. Why? Because when they stripped out the fat, they had to add back texture and stability using emulsifiers and chemical salts that disrupt your cell's ability to process energy efficiently. And the sodium? One slice can contain 400 milligrams. 2 slices in a sandwich? 800. That's a third of your entire daily limit in one meal. For anyone managing hypertension, which is most people over 60, that's not a treat. That's a threat. If you want melted cheese, buy a block of sharp cheddar and grate it yourself. It takes 30 seconds and your arteries will thank you. Second most dangerous. Brie, the elegant cheese board darling. Soft ripened, bloomy rind, oozing texture, and a legitimate infection risk for older adults. Brie is typically made from raw or pasteurized milk and aged in conditions that can harbor Listeria monocytogenes. For young, robust immune systems, exposure might pass unnoticed. For anyone over 60, the CDC estimates listeriosis risk is 4 times higher. And when it hits hard. A 2021 analysis of hospital records across 14 countries revealed that 41% of older adults hospitalized with listeriosis from soft cheeses like brie required intensive care, fever, severe diarrhea, confusion, seizures, death. And here's the disturbing part. Listeria can grow at refrigerator temperatures. You can buy a pristine wheel, store it properly, and the bacteria can still multiply over days. Even pasteurized brie carries some risk because the moist, low-acid environment is so hospitable to pathogens. Beyond infection, brie offers little redemption. High saturated fat, minimal protein, negligible probiotics. It also contains tyramine, an amino acid that can spike blood pressure or trigger migraines in sensitive individuals, especially those on MAO inhibitors or certain cardiac medications. If you love soft cheese, switch to labna. Strained, fermented, cultured, and dramatically safer. Or aged goat cheese with a firmer texture. But Brie? After 60, it's not worth the gamble. And now, the worst. The cheese that isn't cheese. The one hiding in plain sight. American cheese. Individually wrapped. Neon orange. Melts into that perfect golden blanket on burgers and grilled sandwiches. It is also the single most deceptive dairy product in the American food supply. It is not real cheese. It is a pasteurized prepared cheese product, a legal distinction that exempts manufacturers from calling it cheese because it doesn't meet the federal definition. It contains actual cheese, yes, but it also contains emulsifiers, preservatives, artificial colors, sodium citrate, and often whey protein concentrate that never underwent fermentation. A 2020 longitudinal study in aging clinical and experimental research tracked over 1,000 older adults for 5 years. Those who consumed ultra-processed dairy products like American cheese more than 4 times weekly had a 29% higher rate of cognitive decline. Not slightly worse, nearly a third worse. The researchers hypothesized that the synthetic emulsifiers and phosphate additives disrupt the gut microbiome so severely that systemic inflammation rises, nutrient absorption plummets, and neuroinflammatory cascades begin. One slice of American cheese delivers roughly 300 milligrams of sodium and 5 grams of saturated fat. That's not catastrophic in isolation. But no one eats one slice. It melts, it disappears, you add another. A single meal can deliver half a day's worth of sodium and a quarter of your saturated fat limit. For an older adult with declining kidney function or stiffening arteries, that's not indulgence. That's acceleration. And because it contains no intact casein structure, no live cultures, no bioactive peptides, it offers zero satiety signaling. You don't feel full. You don't feel satisfied. You just feel like eating more. It's engineered that way. If you want grilled cheese, take real cheddar, Gruyere, or provolone. They melt, they taste better, and they won't inflame your brain. So now you see both sides. For cheeses that rebuild bone, sharpen memory, stabilize digestion, and protect arteries. For cheeses that silently rot your gut, spike your blood pressure, starve your brain, and shorten your life. The cheese isn't the enemy. The wrong cheese at the wrong stage of life is the enemy. And the difference isn't written on the front of the package. It's in the ingredients, the aging process, the fermentation, the source. You don't have to give up cheese. You just have to give up the imposters. Real food heals. Real food protects. Real food doesn't need a health claim stamped on the wrapper. It just needs to be what it says it is. At Senior Wellness Hive, we don't traffic in fear. We traffic in clarity. We believe that every meal is an opportunity to build a stronger, sharper, longer future. And we believe you deserve the information that makes that possible. So open your refrigerator. Take a hard look. What's staying and what's going? The choice, as always, is yours. But now you know exactly what you're choosing.